The greatest threat to the well-being of any creature comes from other creatures of the same species. The closer they crowd together, the greater the risk of disease. Disease which can be spread from human to human, from animal to animal, or through indirect carriers such as contaminated surfaces, feed or water, rodents, insects, or other creatures. Biosecurity, in other words, excluding disease organisms from the bird's environment, is the most effective form of protection, especially where birds are farmed using modern production techniques. The need for biosecurity has become more acute. Viruses causing chicken anemia or gumboro are extremely persistent in the environment. They also suppress the bird's immune systems, leaving them more vulnerable to other infections. Outbreaks of avian influenza have led to humans becoming infected and fears of a global pandemic. Modern biosecurity techniques are key to disease control. They provide a healthier environment for your livestock, they block the introduction of disease onto the farm, and prevent the spread of disease between houses and between successive flocks. HACCP, or Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Point, is the systematic approach to achieve food safety from farm to fork. Originally developed to protect astronauts from infection, HACCP is now accepted and often legally enforced worldwide. The DuPont Biosecurity Program has been developed through many years of research and collaboration with leading poultry companies. Based on products designed to work effectively under farm conditions, the DuPont program enables the farmer to follow HACCP principles and reduce disease challenge and losses in productivity. Hazard analysis is the first of the 7 HACCP principles. This involves identifying the potential hazards at each step of the production process, whether physical, chemical, or microbiological. The second step is to identify critical control points. In other words, the points at which these potential hazards can be controlled or eliminated. These critical control points can be at any stage in the production process, from hatchery to farm to processor to retailer to consumer. For the poultry farm, tackle these critical control points with terminal disinfection, carried out at the end of each production cycle. Couple this with the DuPont Continuous Biosecurity Program, which covers site security, personnel hygiene, the water system, airborne infection, insect and rodent control. Set critical limits. These limits are to make sure that whenever you take action at a critical control point, this action effectively controls or eliminates the hazard. For example, on the farm this will mean disinfecting surfaces such as floors, walls, posts and vents, so that any remaining disease organisms are below a certain level, measured as a total viable count. It would also mean that no trace of Salmonella could be found. These critical limits are set out in the DuPont Biosecurity Program literature. The biosecurity program then needs to be monitored. This means checking that the cleaning and disinfection routines are thorough, checking that visitors disinfect their vehicles, checking that personnel use disinfectant foot dips and clean, site-specific overalls, checking that rodent bait is replenished, and so on. Where you find procedures have not been followed, or where tests show an unsatisfactory level of contamination after cleaning, act to correct the problem. Make sure the DuPont Biosecurity Program is followed exactly and the correct dilutions are being applied. Keep records so that you can prove the biosecurity program is in place and is implemented correctly and continuously. Record the products you use, the cleaning schedules you follow, the critical limits you achieve, the corrective actions you take. These records will be important in any legal action and as part of any quality scheme required by your customers. Finally, verification. This is a procedure for making sure the HACCP system is working properly. Very often an outside organisation will provide this service, looking at bacteriology tests, calibration tests and dosing checks. We can provide advice and training on audit routines and quality systems, such as the DuPont Biosecurity Accreditation System. The DuPont Biosecurity programs are consistent with HACCP principles. They give you a strategy to reduce the level of disease organisms on your site and to prevent their introduction from other farms. Each of the DuPont products in these programs has been designed for farm use and has been tested for effectiveness and efficacy against the main pathogens that threaten the poultry industry. DuPont offers a comprehensive range of heavy-duty detergents and broad-spectrum disinfectants developed specifically for farm use. When mixing up a solution, always add the product to water rather than the other way round. Calculate the amount of detergent or disinfectant you need and make up the strength of solutions specified in the DuPont Poultry Biosecurity Program or the product-specific literature. This will ensure you're using the product at its correct dilution and that you comply with any government animal health requirements, such as the Diseases of Poultry and General Orders issued by the UK's Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs. It's important that the product is well mixed. Many spraying devices have a built-in mixing system. This tank is fitted with an electric pump and a recirculating system to agitate the solution. An alternative is a chemical injector, which draws product into the spray line direct from the container. The advantages are that once you've fitted the appropriate orifice plate, the solution is always at the correct dilution, there's no risk of waste by using an overstrength solution or of disinfection failure from too weak a solution. There's less possibility of waste. You only mix the amount of product you actually need. And the operator does not have to make any adjustments to the system, as the product is introduced downstream of the pump. DuPont provides dilution test kits so you can check the strength of cleaning and disinfectant solutions. You see the result instantly. The equipment you use will depend on the size and number of houses you have to treat and the amount of product you need to apply. A knapsack sprayer may be adequate for insecticide or aerial spraying over birds. But for most commercial farms, a trailer-mounted pump is likely to be more practical. This might comprise a water tank and a diesel-powered high-pressure pump, or a suitable electric pump. A modified orchard sprayer allows one operator to treat each house evenly and effectively over a whole farm. This rig has been fitted with wheel disinfection sprays so that, when it moves from house to house, it does not carry infection with it. If your machine has not been fitted with these, disinfect the wheels with a knapsack sprayer or pressure washer before entering the next house. For thermal fogging, use an appropriate DuPont disinfectant. Calculate the amount of solution you need to treat the house. Add the disinfectant to water to fill the tank of the fogging machine. Never use neat concentrate. Insert the nozzle of the fogging machine through an aperture in the door of the house and start it up. The fog of disinfectant particles will quickly spread throughout the house, reaching all parts of the structure. Run the fogging machine until its tank is empty. Then leave the house closed for at least 30 minutes. Before you enter the house again, ventilate it for at least a further half hour. Clean the machine by running it with clean water for 30 seconds, then empty the tank. Don't leave disinfectant solution in the machine overnight. You must read the safety precautions in the product safety data sheets. Give operators the right personal protective equipment and make sure they use it, particularly when handling concentrates. For concentrates, the operator must wear chemical-resistant overalls such as DuPont Tychem coveralls, boots, gloves, goggles, and a respirator. Operators who are spraying must wear waterproof clothing with a hood, gloves, boots, and appropriate eye and breathing protection. Other products, such as rodenticides, need to be handled with gloves. Operators must wash their hands afterwards. Contact DuPont Animal Health Solutions for specific advice about chemical composition and safety. In every case, check the product literature, take the appropriate precautions, and dispose of unused products and packaging safely. All PPE should be decontaminated after use and kept in good condition. Any vehicle or equipment coming onto the farm must be washed and disinfected to remove any contamination. Remove any deposits of mud, straw, etc. from the wheel arches, mud guards, and exposed chassis of the vehicle. Using a DuPont detergent, soak all surfaces of the vehicle, allow at least a 10-minute contact time before rinsing at high pressure with clean water. Apply a suitable DuPont broad-spectrum disinfectant to all surfaces of the vehicle and, wherever possible, allow the vehicle to dry before use. Disinfect the wheels and wheel arches of all vehicles coming onto the site. All contractors and other visitors must sign in, listing any farms they've visited in the past 48 hours. They must change into clean, site-specific boots and overalls. They must disinfect their boots when moving from house to house. Make up a fresh disinfectant solution for both the wheel wash and the foot dip every 4 to 5 days, or as soon as you can see they're contaminated. Dirty or unwashed hands transfer infection. All visitors must wash their hands before entering. All staff must wash their hands before starting work, after breaks, and when changing activities. To prevent infection being spread from crop to crop, apply the DuPont Terminal Biosecurity Program after every depopulation before the new birds arrive. The standard of the dry clean will have a direct impact on the efficacy of the disinfection process. Attention to detail is key. Always start at the far end of the farm and work towards the site entrance, so you don't contaminate areas you've just cleaned. You will already have taken out any movable equipment and dry cleaned it. You'll have removed unused feed from the system. You can use compressed air to blow down surface dust from ceilings, water pipes, beams, fan boxes and inlets. Sweep up any residue left by mechanised scrapers. Pay special attention to areas where there's caked-on soiling. Once the old litter has been loaded, clean the concrete area outside the house so infected material can't be blown or walked back in. Prepare the house for the cleaning crew by opening the pans of the feeder system. All water systems will be contaminated after a crop. Dust and debris will have blown into header tanks, and this will challenge the health of the new birds. Drain the header tank and clean out any debris. Refill the tank with enough water to fill the whole system and add disinfectant concentrate to achieve the correct dilution. Run this into the drinker lines and allow to stand for 1 hour. Then flush the lines through with clean water. If you find scale or contamination on the drinkers, repeat the process. Then refill the header tank with clean, fresh water. Thorough washing of both buildings and equipment is essential if you're going to get the best results from disinfection. You need to pre-soak, followed by pressure washing with water. The advantage of pre-soaking is that the detergent solution has extra contact time. In other words, more time to work on the dirt. For the pre-soak, you have a choice of DuPont detergent products. Make up the solution as specified in the program literature and apply at low pressure with a foam lance. Start from the top of the roof and work downwards, including the equipment. Leave to act for 20 to 30 minutes, then pressure wash with clean water. When washing, start with a long lance to tackle the roof. Pay special attention to vents, beam tops and other surfaces where dust can build up. Next, change to a short lance to tackle the walls and in particular the fan boxes. Go outside to wash the fan boxes and the walls. Don't leave this step till last or you'll be splashing dirt back over your newly washed floor. Then come back inside the house and wash the feeders and drinkers, again with a short lance. Give each piece of equipment individual attention. If scale is built up on the drinkers, use a DuPont descaling detergent at the pre-wash stage. Finally, wash the floor, working from the back of the house towards the door. You're literally sweeping the contamination ahead of you. At the same time, wash the dwarf walls and post bottoms again as you go. Inevitably, these will be splashed as you wash the floor. Remember to clean all 4 sides of each post. A tractor and squeegee are very effective at removing wastewater from the house. You're sweeping out contamination and also letting the house dry more quickly. If you disinfect a wet house, this will dilute the disinfectant and reduce its effect. Now that you've cleaned the house, wash the concrete area outside the door to get rid of the slurry and to make sure that people and vehicles don't bring dirt back inside. As soon as the house has been washed, you should replenish the disinfectant foot dips. This is to stop people walking contamination into a clean house. Inside each service room, keep a second pair of boots and a second disinfectant foot dip. People must wear the boots specific to each house. This will cut the risk of cross-infection between houses. Replenish all foot dips as soon as you can see they're contaminated, and at least once every 4 to 5 days. Even after thorough cleaning, a level of disease organisms will remain. This will seriously challenge the new flock. You must use a disinfectant that's proven to be effective against viruses, bacteria, yeasts and molds. For routine disinfection of pre-cleaned surfaces, apply a solution of an appropriate broad-spectrum DuPont disinfectant. In all cases, check the biosecurity program specific to your site for the appropriate dilution and application rates. Look at the dilutions and equipment and personal protective equipment sections of this disc for advice on safe and effective handling and mixing of chemicals. We recommend that you apply disinfectant to dry surfaces for maximum effectiveness. Coat all washed surfaces and equipment evenly with disinfectant solution at low pressure to the point where the solution starts to run off. Start from the top and work downwards. Pay particular attention to detail, ventilators, beams, equipment and all 4 sides of each post. Then disinfect the floor, working from one end of the building to the other. While disinfecting, check the strength of the solution to make sure it's correct. DuPont provide easy-to-use dilution test kits which give an instant result. Finally, close the doors and replenish the disinfectant foot dips at all entrances. Check all rodent bait stations and refill with rodenticide as necessary. Fogging is the final step in the terminal disinfection of a house. The house is closed up and then filled with a fog of disinfectant particles. This disinfects both the air itself and any inaccessible parts of the building. There are 2 techniques: thermal fogging and cold fogging or misting. Thermal fogging requires a fogging machine. Cold fogging means applying a fine mist of disinfectant solution with a pressure washer or plumbed-in misting system. Finally, mist a disinfectant solution over the roadways and the areas between the houses. This will counter any disease challenge left outside by the previous flock or by the catching and cleaning gangs. A poultry house is an ideal environment for insects to live and breed. Litter beetles spread Salmonella, E. coli, Gumboro and Marek's disease. Red mites attack the birds directly, living off their blood and leaving them weak, restless and prone to infection. After the house has been cleaned and disinfected, allow it to dry thoroughly. Mix up a solution of an appropriate DuPont insecticide. Apply this with a knapsack sprayer or low-pressure spray. Spray a 1 meter high band from the floor, along the perimeter walls and around the supporting posts. Allow to dry before setup. You must maintain biosecurity at the farm entrance to prevent people bringing infection onto the site. Only allow essential visitors onto the farm. Any vehicle or equipment coming onto the farm must be washed and disinfected to remove any contamination. Remove any deposits of mud, straw, etc. from the wheel arches, mud guards and exposed chassis of the vehicle. Using a DuPont detergent, soak all surfaces of the vehicle. Allow at least a 10-minute contact time before rinsing at high pressure with clean water. Apply a suitable DuPont broad-spectrum disinfectant to all surfaces of the vehicle and, wherever possible, allow the vehicle to dry before use. Disinfect the wheels and wheel arches of all vehicles coming onto the site. All contractors and other visitors must sign in, listing any farms they've visited in the past 48 hours. They must change into clean, site-specific boots and overalls. They must disinfect their boots when moving from house to house. Make up a fresh solution for both the disinfectant wheel wash and the foot dip every 4 to 5 days or as soon as you can see they're contaminated. Dirty or unwashed hands transfer infection. All visitors must wash their hands before entering. All staff must wash their hands before starting work, after breaks, and when changing activities. Rats and mice spread a number of serious infections on the farm, including salmonella. Rats also carry Weil's disease or leptospirosis, which can be fatal to humans. Use an effective rodenticide such as Tomcat 2 or Jaguar, which works even where the rats or mice are resistant to some other anticoagulants. You can lay bait directly in the rats' burrows by inserting a place pack and kicking in the entrance. Put rodent bait stations along routes where rats or mice run. Inspect the bait stations every 2 days and replenish with fresh bait as necessary. Drinking water can be a potent source of infection. Clean and disinfect the system as part of each terminal biosecurity program. If the water is of poor quality or if there's a possibility of infection on the farm, dose the drinking water continuously with a non-tainting DuPont disinfectant at the recommended dilution. This will help prevent the spread of infection from bird to bird where they share the same drinkers. Spraying a fine disinfectant mist or fog over birds can help reduce cross-infection and secondary infection during outbreaks of respiratory and other diseases. This is particularly useful in preventing a secondary infection such as E. coli septicemia, following a virus challenge such as infectious bronchitis or turkey rhinotracheitis. Apply with a mechanical spray or plumbed-in misting system 2 to 4 times a day during the period of risk. Litter-borne disease such as aspergillosis, the fungal infection of the bird's lungs, can develop rapidly in certain weather conditions. Disinfect the litter by spraying with a 1 to 200 solution of Virkon S at a rate of 1 litre per 10 square meters.